Hey, Benny. I've just gone the wrong way. Benny Rough, boys.
We do look similar.
Yeah, and we're all country boys.
Correct.
She's established
it's nice
off
to sit
there.
down with you guys.
Gippsland, Ballarat.
Yeah. No, that's
Used to the cold out here too. Jeez, it's cold out at RSC Park. As much as it's beautiful, it's cold.
Yeah, you can admit it's cold. It's fine. You don't have to be nice about it.
No, it's a beautiful, and I love the cold. That's the thing about it is I love the freshness. Hey, boys, today we're off site. Not often we come off site.
on tour.
Yeah, on tour, but for very special occasions. We are at Moorabin today, St Kilda, RSC Park, St Kilda Footy Club. So, boys, thanks so much for having us.
Good on you, Dyl. Welcome.
Thank you. Rough, your second time on the show.
Yes.
You're a two-timer.
There's not many. There's not many that have been on twice, is there?
You're a four-time premiership player.
Yeah.
And
This
a
will go
two-time
on-
Dyl Friends.
Put it on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Do it, please.
How was the reception after the last step? Did you have anyone say that was a great episode?
The people here, girls behind you who run our media department, were actually quite angry that I didn't let them know that I was doing it.
Oh.
Now, I'm not a player anymore, so I don't have to tell them everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
But they were quite angry that because they do like you very much. So the fact that, you hear is they're fangirls.
Yeah.
So
That's good. And they enjoyed the show. You didn't say anything you weren't meant to say.
No.
No.
Well, no, I was good.
Yeah,
Got good
good.
traction. I think last time I mentioned how good would it be to have Harry and Charlie, and here we are before we play Carlton on Friday night with those two arguably in the best form of the comp.
They are. And Benny, I'm sure you've listened to heaps of episodes.
Never
and
miss
you would have
Dyl.
listened to that, but we did speak
I was.
about
One of my
Charlie.
favourites,
Oh, there you
actually,
go.
with Rough.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We did speak about Charlie and Harry Mackay, and I was sort of comparing them. I don't know if you can compare them, but I was comparing them to Ruffy and Buddy duo of back in the day. It is looking a little bit like that, but I still think in fairness, and the humble man himself would never say this, they did this, 3 years younger as well, and were winning flags at the same time. So
Yeah.
he did tell me to say that off camera.
Yeah, didn't I?
I don't believe it.
Again, that's
Very
that's like
humble
a
man,
city
very
type
humble
of joke.
man. Yeah.
Someone's been in the city too long would make that type of joke.
Benny, honoured to have you on the pod today, mate. You have an incredible story. I absolutely love it. Obviously a footballer with the Brisbane Bears.
Started with the Bears, 1 year with the Bears.
Yeah.
And
then
then
into the
merged
Lions.
with Fitzroy to become the Brisbane Lions. Yeah,
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
94?
So I was there 96
Yeah.
to 2001. So I had my final year there was the premiership year.
Yep.
6 seasons there, and then went to North for 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And 94 games.
92 games.
Yeah, I was counting the other two that you should have been picked for.
Yes.
So
Emergencies.
the emergencies.
Emergencies.
Yeah.
And you've forged an incredible career post football into a psychologist. Talk us through that. How'd that all come about?
Finished footy, and as you do when you finish, I don't know how you guys felt, but
Yep.
what the hell am I going to do now with
Yeah,
life?
it's quite scary.
Because I didn't really do anything while I played footy. I just played footy. Mucked around with some uni stuff, but nothing serious. Started working at Toll Transport and found my way into a role in HR and after a couple of years. And my boss was a psychologist, and so was one of my colleagues. And I was, well, this is really interesting. I might go and look into studying this. And I did. So I continued working with Toll in that role, worked through on my study. 10 years. 10 years it took.
What was that like? That's incredible because I think a lot of in any industry to go back and study maturely is like really hard. Like I actually tried to do study, it just wasn't for me personally. But was it an interest of when you were playing? Like, did you ever sort of like? I'm assuming back in the day there wasn't as much focus on the mental side of our game as there is now. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that true?
Very little.
Yeah.
I'd never had a conversation with a psychologist in my career. I think at times different people did things with us as groups, but it certainly wasn't to the extent it is now. I was interested in psychology, but knew nothing about it really. I think when I finished, I worked at, like I said, worked at Toll, and one of the main motivating factors was, I can't do this for the rest of my life. There's no way I can work in some sort of corporate job. So, what else is possible? And this was a possibility. My younger brother had recently done something similar with medicine, went from being a sort of corporate guy and just went and studied medicine. And so I can do this. And I did see a lot of application from my career and psychology. And I thought there was a pretty big hole in what was happening in the AFL.
Yeah.
There is opportunity here.
Love it. Hey, and today we're here for a very special cause. Obviously, Danny Frawley Centre's open now at St Kilda Footy Club. I just had a tour before. It was unbelievable what you guys have been able to do here. And we're here today to promote the show, what's on available at the footy club, and even just open the conversation about mental health. Been something that I suppose even towards the end of my career was something that we're starting to get really into. Ruff, wouldn't mind to get your story early days. Was it ever prevalent like at Hawthorn in the early stage of your career?
A psychologist.
Yeah, psychologist.
We had a couple throughout our time, but they weren't anywhere near, they weren't full time like what Benny is here. And they were there for a couple of hours a week, and it was more for what we saw was it was a lot of the guys that were either on the fringe, in or out of the side. You didn't see many of the other older boys going in there. So towards the back end, we hired one psychologist for a couple of days a week, and she ended up, I think she's at Carlton now with Jack Russell, who took her there. But no, it wasn't something that was, I suppose, late. Like it just came in. So, for the first 12, 13 years, definitely not.
Yeah, I remember when when I was playing, I was literally, honestly, too scared to see a psychologist. I was just used to think like, fuck, they're going to tell the coach that like I'm weak or that I'm like scared to go out there and do stuff. And we were chatting, just before Benny off mic about, I didn't realise like I was probably struggling with performance anxiety while I was playing footy because I just never said anything about it. And it wasn't until like I finished and I was like open and had a talk and I was like, fuck, that was actually, I wish I just got some help because it probably would have helped a lot. Well, it could have made things any worse, that's for sure.
Yeah, and your experience is really pretty common one, mate. Like,
but that already makes me feel better knowing that. Like I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, and that's actually a big part of the therapeutic process. Is actually just talking and understanding that you're not the only one. There's actually, in our list, there's 45 guys who are going through different things. Maybe it's performance anxiety, maybe it's anxiety about other things or other parts of issues in life. Simply expressing that to somebody else who you trust, and it's a confidential space. Once you understand that, it immediately just relieves things. It doesn't change anything. The problem still exists, but you've got someone to share it with and throw ideas around about it. But that confidentiality piece is something we spend a lot of time on here with our guys. Like I am a confidential source that they can come and speak to about whatever they want. It stays between us. Like I might say, well, it might be worth sharing that with the coach. But it will always be up to them to do that. Yeah.
What's your like day-to-day look like at the footy club? What's your role? What's is it just one-on-ones? Is it group stuff? Is it with the team? Is it obviously a bit of mindfulness as well? Is it like what's a part of it?
All of the above, plus a podcast here and there too.
Yeah,
all right, so we fit those in.
Yeah.
But there's I work with our players at an individual level, players at the group level. I'm involved with the coaches. Sitting in a lot of team meetings, the selection stuff. Certainly, meditation and mindfulness play a big role in what we do here. It's central to everything we do. Like, as I often talk to the players about, when I played, I had to worry about two things: my man and the ball. That's it. Whereas our guys, we're asking them to consider so many pieces of information, and they have to process so many bits of data coming at them. Do I press? Do I hold? Do I go laterally? What am I doing in this structure? Am I coming off? Like, there's just an incredible amount on their minds. So the skill of mindfulness is as important as their drop punt or their bench press, something that we talk about. Calf raises, which we spend a lot of time doing.
Calf raises are strong.
Yeah.
We had Jack Steele on the show earlier in the year as well, who spoke a lot of your praises and what you've been able to do on him with personal on a personal note. But something I think as well, when we talk about like performance anxiety or a mindfulness in sport, is like, I always used to go to this psychologist when I was in at the Giants, our club psychologist, and I was talking about my game and everything. But I think really what I was actually going to him for was like just in my life in general, like just to fix things as well. And I found like if we're good off the field, no matter what we do, if we're in like we're upstairs here in the office in admin, if we're a coach or players, if we're good off field, the performance stuff sort of takes care of itself, because it's probably that holistic view is more important. Did you find that? Like if you were going well off field, you're going well on.
It has a major impact on how you perform on the weekend. You can't just run out, cross a white line and forget about everything that you've done that week or what's happened to you that week. So, making sure you have a balanced lifestyle outside definitely impacts how you perform on the weekend.
Yeah, and my background's clinical psychology. I'm not sports
So you're not a
psychologist.
sports psych.
No, so my focus first and foremost is our players' mental health.
Yeah.
You know, because from that, performance will flow. You know, but we focus on making sure their mental health is as good as it can be. Give them strategies around that, and the reality is those same strategies are going to help their mental health. They're going to help their performance anyway. So these things are very much interlinked.
Yeah, I know we're not going to go into specifics today of any players or anything like that, of course, but is there any, like, for someone who's just looking to be better in their mental health, is there any, like, just holistic tips that you give that are very just, like, top level generic to just be better? Like, is it finding what's good for you in your own mindfulness routine? Like, I've tried meditation, personally not the best for me, but I've actually just started finding these things on Spotify that I can listen to, like 10-minute little clips that I can just use, not so much as a routine, but it's more of a trigger if I'm feeling stressed or anything like that. What's your go-tos?
Well, I mean, there's a few things. What you're talking about there, those triggers are exactly the same things we're trying to teach our players. All right, so when things get loud in your mind, we have this term red brain here, when you're distracted, your thoughts are in the past and the future, something to try and ground you and get you in the present. Clearly, meditation and mindfulness, these are fundamental skills to help with your mental health, because so much of our distress comes from what we do with our mind. Projecting into the future, thinking the worst, catastrophizing, going into the past, ruminating over things. These impacts our mood, this impacts our anxiety. So this ability to stay present, especially under stress, is an unbelievable skill to possess. And it is a skill. Like, you can train your body, which we do in the gym. You can train your craft, which we do out here on the ground. This third component, our minds, most of us, what do you mean train our minds? What are you talking about? Well, this is what the skill of mindfulness and meditation, is about.
What's a good way to get into mindfulness?
I like your idea. Like, you need to find what works for you. So if it's listening to what's on Spotify, is it a bit of music or something?
No, her name is actually
sponsors out there.
Yeah, no, definitely not a sponsor. Her name is Tara Brach.
Oh, yeah.
Brach.
Yeah. So what she do? She talk or something?
Yeah, she just talks.
What's she talk about?
It's a little bit spiritual, to be honest. I like the spiritual side of things.
So that raises a really interesting point. So it's what works for you.
Yeah.
So we use our breath here largely just because, everyone's breathing, so it works. But not everybody likes that as much as, focusing on a sound. When we were in Noosa in 2020 in our hub, we spent a lot of time lying on the beach and listening to the waves. And it should be quite an active process. Like, it's hard to do that. You'd notice when you sit down to meditate, your mind just explodes. It's hard to do it. So it's a training, you train that stuff so you can do it, more easily and for longer. Meditation, start small, 2 minutes. See if you can go 2 minutes. Don't try and bite off 20, because inevitably it will be too hard. You won't get it done and you'll say, I'm a failure, and you'll give up.
Yep.
All right, but start small, 2 minutes, but try and do it every day. If you can do that, then go to 3 and then 4, and eventually find you're quite really skilled at it.
I love that. I'm the best at starting things and just doing them 100% for 3 days in a row and then never again.
Yeah.
And I think, like, now, just as I was talking with this Tara Brach situation, I've just said to myself, like, I'm not going to do this every day. I'm literally going to do it when I feel like
I need it. Yeah.
And then the next week I'll try and do it one more time. And it's almost just like gradually building it into a routine rather than just, it's like that, people in January, like the gym memberships go up because everyone's motivated for January and then they get cancelled in Feb.
Yeah.
You want to build it into our routines.
You do, and you have to also have a clear understanding of why you're doing it. We're doing it because we want to be, for our guys, we want to be calmer under pressure. We want to be clarity of thought to make good decisions. We want to have, really good mental health. So those things, have those things in mind. By practicing meditation, you achieve these things. So understanding why you're doing it. So
yeah, I didn't give you guys heads up before the show, and definitely don't feel the need to do this. And I'm more than happy to share any of my stories. But is there a time when you can give us, or you'd like to be like open and reflect on a time where maybe you've gone through something and how you best approached it and how you got through it? Does anything spring to mind in your lives that you'd be happy to talk about?
I spoke to you last time when I was on, when I went through all my stuff. Yeah, like how I dealt with it and whatnot. I spoke to a couple of psychs through the AFLPA and whatnot, because for me, all my releases were taken away. Being able to train, being able to go out with mates and being able to have a beer. all those three get taken away. So then what was next for me? I had to try and find that gap to try and fill something for me. So for a while there, like you felt like you're in a really, really big hole because everything that you've known since you were a 17-year-old kid was taken away from you that you enjoyed doing. So that was quite tough for probably 6 to 8 weeks. But, you know, you come out of it, you talk to people, as we said from the start, you know, having those chats and not trying to hold it in. Because if you're trying to beat something like I was going through, I have to be open with the docs and nurses, these type of things. It's not something that you can just internally try and beat yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%.
I haven't been through anything like that.
No.
I've had a blessed life. Yeah. My biggest challenge certainly was the transition out of footy, where I was, you know, quite lost. But what worked for me was my wife was pregnant, and we were about to have our first child, daughter Ella, in May after I'd finished at North Melbourne. So my focus had to turn to other people, and I couldn't be selfish. I couldn't sit around the couch all day, you know, feeling sorry for myself. I had to get on with it. Right, what am I going to do? Because I've got a family to support here. So turning my attention externally to others really helped me through that. It just helped get me going. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And just to follow suit, everyone's got their own story, which is incredible. And I suppose like by doing that, I just like to get people to tell stories because I think it really helps. And when I was going through things, which like, you know, my old man, you know, last year went through some alcohol addiction, and that was by far the most fucking tough period of my life because I was like, you see your dad and it's just your hero and they're like, you know, really struggling, and it opens up all these emotions for you. And same time, my sister's having a baby, so I didn't want to tell her to like, you know, not stress her out, and we're going through this whole crazy situation. But I think like what's crazy from adversity and from these tough times is that, you know, if we have some really good support around us, and especially what we're talking about today, we have those good triggers involved, we have really good support networks around us, we have places like the Danny Frawley Centre, these times end up actually being incredible moments that can help shape us going forward, and we get better from them. And I think that like if we can best, correct me if I'm wrong, like set up these procedures around us, have a good support network, have good triggers, have good escapes to be able to do it, it can end up actually being something that we grow from.
Yeah, absolutely. Like being proactive, and that's where these skills, being proactive with your mental health. So things might be going great for you right now, and that is great. But things will change. Life will throw stuff at you. So the skills we're training our players in are to prepare them for those moments. Not for when things are going well. When things are going well, we sort of
easy.
Things are.
I'm the best at when things are going well.
Yeah, we just roll on. All right. But when the shit hits a fan, all right, well, how do I respond, and how do I take perspective, and how do I work my way through it? How do I accept the situation I'm in and make the best of it? You know, these are skills that you can learn. They're hard, but you can learn them.
And that proactive versus reactiveness piece is huge, and something that I've found for me is such an important part, because as we said, like when things are going well, we're just 3 country blokes, we're good guys. You know, it's so easy to be up and about. But when things aren't well, you know, that's when you do have to lean on past experiences or things that you know. And I suppose a big one with Danny Frawley Centre, with seeing a psychologist, with having these things in place, it sets us up to fall back on those triggers. Yeah. So what would be something that is a good trigger to have for people that might be going really well at the moment? They go, well, I don't need to see a psychologist. I'm killing it. Like, because I see a psych, I say this, you know, recently, I see a psych once a month.
Yeah, great.
Even when I don't need to.
Yeah.
And I hope she's not listening to this, but I nearly cancel it every week. Every time I nearly cancel. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't need to do this. I'm going okay. And then I go there. I'm like, fuck, I really needed that.
Why don't you cancel?
Well, first I'll get stung with the bill if I cancel, so I don't want to do that. But secondly, I just think, well, I owe it to myself to just keep on top of it. And it's like, it's that routine piece. It's like, as you said, it's, you know, when I was playing footy, I wasn't going to skip going to the gym, because you just can't. If you want to be the best, you can't skip those sessions. Yeah. So I suppose I put it back to that being like, if I want to be the best person I can be, I go back to the gym. And there is a little anecdote actually that changed this whole mental piece for me and being proactive with it. And it was like, when you think about this stuff, don't think about doing it for yourself. Think about doing it for your loved ones and being a better person, because then it's really easy to let yourself down. But if you think, well, I'm letting other people down if I don't do this, it holds you to a bit more account.
Yep. Bit more purpose there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interesting with your psychologist. What do you guys talk about? What do you get out of it?
I suppose
Only is
no, definitely
free
yeah.
session here.
Yeah, yeah.
You're getting a free one.
No, I'm really in my head a lot. Like I catastrophize, really anxious on certain topics that if I said to you now, you would just be like, "Why the fuck are you worrying about that?" But I will.
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't.
Too,
but it's just interesting how we get so in our own head, and if we don't say shit out loud, you don't realize how silly it sounds until you say it. So I find like sometimes for me, it's just really good to just go and just say these thoughts. And even when I'm saying, I'm like, yeah, man, that actually probably is pretty silly, and I probably shouldn't be stressing about that. But yeah, I suppose like for me, it's like I have a history of mental health in my family, so there is a part of it that is quite genetic, and it's not circumstantial. Like there is, from my earliest memories, I've always been a super anxious person. So I think I just need to really stay on top of it. And I love having it as a part of my routine. As much as sometimes I feel like I don't need it, I definitely do.
Yeah. And that is a great example of, our term here, Danny Frawley said, mental fitness. Okay, when you think of physical fitness, what do you think about? You think about going to the gym, think about running laps or swimming laps, whatever it is you're doing. You've got to do those things every week to maintain your fitness. And mental fitness is no different. Like we've got to do things, actively do things with our mind consistently to stay fit. And one of those things is absolutely I would recommend is seeing a psychologist once a month, unload, or whatever it is you want to talk about, because once it comes from in here where it bounces around and becomes massive, a huge problem, like you said there, just say it out loud to somebody else, it doesn't seem as big a problem now, or it can be like that.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. It's funny as well that you say that, but I'm sure, you might have come across people, I'm not sure the stories of everyone here, but before that, I was seeing like 2-3 other psychologists for it, and I'd only see them when I needed them, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen them. That's all good now. Like I'm fine,
I'm fixed."
And then something would happen. I'm like, "Fucking hell, I need that again." So it would be like a very reactive type thing. But now it's trying to stay on top of it because I do find it better. So hopefully, if anyone's listening out there, make sure if that's what you're into, you can definitely see it, and support's available. It's always there.
And it's not, how is it? You just go and have a conversation, don't you?
Mate, it's so good.
Yeah,
just chill out.
You're just having a conversation with
Phone
somebody.
off for an hour,
Yep.
which is nice. I only have my phone off for probably 5 hours a week, 4 hours playing golf, 1 hour at the site every couple of weeks. So I couldn't recommend it more, but I think that consistency piece is the best because it's got to be a gym, it's got to be in your routine, which is good. Danny Frawley Centre. Would love to learn a bit more about it. As I said, went down this morning. Unbelievable. I reckon Big Rough would really hit up the sauna in there.
Well, it's not. Is it open yet? The sauna part isn't. Is it?
Yep. Yeah,
it
no,
is.
So you haven't got the
will be
membership
yet.
yet?
No, it will. But once it's open,
I spent a lot of time there, just the towel for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Big sauna guy.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not an
Massive
ice bars
sauna
guy, am I?
No.
Not many of us are. No, I will definitely use it when the sauna's open.
Yeah.
The players have been here a lot with the room with the leg pumps and the being able to come in here and have Benny come in for the.
So did you say the leg pump?
Well, yeah, the what are they? The
I can't.
Normatex.
Sorry,
That's what they're called. Yeah, it's about four.
Yeah,
love Normatex.
Yeah, about 4 or 5.
We
and
do
they've
love
got
them
some,
actually. Yeah.
And through Temper as well, who do the beds, have given some couches out the back there that the boys sit in. And
Anyone else may look after?
Tick.
Everything's going well.
Yeah.
Like it is awesome. So, we thought we had a pretty good setup at Waverley, but coming here and seeing what this is like first class now, and this is something that you show off to either players that want to come here or even the past players when they walk in. It's like this is something that is first class and something that can get people in the door.
Oh, it is unbelievable. I'm not even just saying. I used to come out here and run a bit with Jack Nunes when he was at the Saints, and it was seriously a ghost land. It was like quite scary even running out here. So what they've been able to do, what you've been able to do is really impressive.
Yeah.
Can we, go? No, you go.
No, yeah, and I think, along with all the physical apparatus downstairs with our sauna and our, infrared, we've got infrared stuff. Is this
we'll
it?
go with that.
Yeah, there's a whole heap of really
Makes you sweat.
high-tech stuff downstairs. Upstairs, the focus here on mental fitness and running programs, scientifically validated programs to help the community with their mental fitness.
Yep.
Okay, so trying to take some of the concepts with our players and spread them a bit more broadly, with whether it's local community groups or footy clubs or corporate groups, whoever it is, combining, physical downstairs, mental upstairs, but just this overall concept of health, being healthier. So it's an unbelievable thing the footy club have done here, and Danny Frawley and his family. Yeah,
of course. We have sort of briefly touched on it then, but the purpose and why we have the Danny Frawley Centre, obviously, really tragic and heartbreaking, but to be able to flip that and have a positive, impact on the community out of it. Firstly, why do we have it? Why did the club want to set it up? And as you mentioned, this is open to the public. Like who can come here? Like, is it honestly open to like anyone?
Yeah, anybody can come here, access the facilities. Certainly, as more and more, the stage 2's well underway here, so it'll be a fully operational gym and everything that goes along with that. So all of those things available to the public. To come back to the first question, what's the purpose? It really is to help people understand the proactive nature. I think like that word's come up a bit in our talk, chat here today. The proactive nature of the concept of mental fitness, right? Doing something for your own mental health, not waiting until you're really struggling, okay? Which most of us do. That's a reality. We don't like to ask people for help. It's hard to ask people for help. I've got this, I'll be right. We're trying to sort of just turn the thinking on that to say, okay, you will be right, sure, but then there's also some things you can do to proactively and positively address your mental health, and trying to use our footy club as a bit of a messenger to the community. We have a big voice being an AFL club, so how can we use that in a positive way? Yeah,
I think even the community factor, like when you boys left footy, did you struggle with not being out of the game, having a purpose, or did you struggle like not being around people all the time? And that's something where I reckon struggled the most. I didn't really miss playing footy at all. I didn't really want to play footy anymore, but I really missed being a part of a community and like having friends and doctors and physios and having all these different relationships in a workplace. And I suppose the Danny Frawley Centre is a real central hub for a community, and like there's so many places like that around, but this one especially, you can come, be a part of something, meet people, have a purpose, be a part of a cool place is something that's pretty special. I feel like so important in this space.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a bit different because I went straight from playing to a clubland. So for me, going from what I've been lucky is that I've been able to like double a network. I didn't stay at Hawthorn. I was able to come here, start fresh, learn something new from a new footy club, experience what it's like to go away from something that you were so comfortable with for so long, and then throw in trying not to get too close to playing group because now you're staff. So, you still got that player mindset where you still want to be down in the physio room, you still want to play jokes, you still think you can have 8 weeks off at the end of footy season, but that stuff doesn't happen anymore. So learning this and understanding it is just a transition for me in that sense was probably the most difficult part.
Yeah, but your transition though is quite different because you're not a coach, are you?
No,
you're like
I'm a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
No, if I was to give you a business card, it's football operations assistant.
Football operations assistant.
Yeah.
But you're in a really, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's like moving into a list management type position. Is that something
I suppose
around there?
for the first 3 years anyway, it's been, just fitting in everywhere.
Yeah.
We're at the moment we've been doing a lot with the leadership group, both men's and women's, trying to just open their eyes up because for so long, and the lack of success that they've had here, they haven't really experienced or just been shown or taught what to do. So trying to open their eyes up in that sense to see the game from a different point of view, lead in their own way, but when they get help and I suppose just guide them through certain situations is and remembering what it's like to be a player, what it's like to be out there in the it's the hardest game in the world for a number of reasons, and so to open their eyes up and just say, well, this is how I experience it, try and see it from this point of view, stuff like that. That's what we've been working on the last couple of weeks especially. But yeah, ideally, and I've said it before on this show, mate, leading towards the recruiting list management is probably my what I'd like to do, but at the moment, helping where you can is most important.
Love that. Penny?
No, my transition was very similar to yours.
Yeah.
I didn't miss playing at all, but I definitely missed the locker room. I liked mucking around, doing all those things that players do. And there's nowhere else. You can't go into Toll and start playing cricket in the sort of tea room. It's not how it works. So I miss those things miss those things a lot. But like I said earlier, I had things to ground me. You know, my family, starting a family, grounded me, helped me work my way through it.
Love it. Hey, boys, well,
Yeah.
you've got your own podcast
Yeah,
going
we
out.
do. Mate, flying.
How good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's
so
going really
when's
well.
the clinic? I should probably have...
Oh, you're not across it?
No,
No,
I
it's
should have
subscribed
subscribed.
yet.
Normally you come across my desk to ask if you can even do it.
Yes.
Oh,
no, I thought you
sorry.
guys did that.
Royalties?
You guys did that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the long game, exciting, very exciting.
Something different.
Yeah. What's it about?
Well, at the moment, we've had, how many have we interviewed? 5 or 6?
Yeah.
5 or 6 different types of people that,
Yeah.
you know, through whether it be sport. We've been lucky enough to have Lane Beachley. We've had Harry Garside, who's been on yours.
I've tried to get Lane Beachley a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
pretty flat.
you know.
You've got yeah.
Who else have we, we've done each other,
Yes.
which was, you know, just to get
It's
get
practice.
it off. Benny
Yeah.
McGlynn.
Yeah. Oh, Benny McGlynn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some different
Simon
stories that you don't. I mean, we went straight to the top with Lane and Harry, but
Yeah.
and now, you know, well, you may get a return invite back to.
Yeah, would you like to come on our podcast?
I would love
I
to
said
come
you
on.
may
Yeah.
get
Yeah, mate,
and
don't-
you've just gone whack.
Don't
we've
ask in
it's got to
front of
be
people,
and
yeah.
it's got to be like you got to go through managers.
You go
and,
through
you
my
know,
people.
Yeah. No, I if that was to happen, it's like when you're asking a girl out in primary school. It's like, if I asked you out, what would
Yeah.
you say?
Yeah.
If you asked me on,
Yeah.
I
What
would
would you
say
say?
yes. If you did,
Yeah,
but
if we did.
Not that's
Yeah, we
not a
haven't yet,
question.
though, yeah.
No, you haven't. But I'm like, if you did, I would.
We just learned the ropes.
Yeah.
Dyl. We're just stumbling our way through.
Yeah, and
Any,
we got a release date.
I'm sure we do.
Yeah.
and it's
Imminent.
yeah. It's in,
How did
I mean,
you go
it's
with
in
your photo
July.
shoots and stuff like that for it, like for
Oh,
promotional?
you've probably got a bigger budget than I had when I first started, but I used to just
You
jump
run a
on.
pretty
We felt
slick
like Ted
operation,
Lasso.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
we're going well now.
You know, Ted Lasso at the start.
We went to just got a graphic designer on the internet and make one up for about $50, which
Yeah.
is good.
Oh, good.
It's just a cartoon sort of one.
Hey, that's
So,
stuff.
I don't know,
It's
it's
the
laughing.
content that matters.
Exactly.
Now, what
It's a
tips you got for us? What
I'd say-
makes a good podcast?
I'd say it's a good question. I'd say what makes a good podcast, listening. See, listening
skill.
is good. I say listen with your eyes.
Um,
Everyone's laughing. So listen with your eyes. This is a
Something back
tip I
there.
got once when
Huh?
this is honestly a good if you're interviewing someone, listen
Yeah.
with your eyes. You do this.
How do you do it?
Yeah, it shows that you're not always looking at your run sheet.
Shows you're not always looking at run check, but
Yeah.
also I found this when you're interviewing people, a really good thing to do is just not talk. Because you know when you're on a first date or something and the awkwardness of no one talking, it promotes you to keep talking and you word vomit. So what you really want your guests to do is word vomit and just keep talking, because that's when you get the best parts.
Uncomfortable silences.
Exactly. Uncomfortable silences. So you've just got to sit there in an uncomfortable silence sometimes and just let them talk.
Yeah.
That's where you get the best
That's
stories.
sort of really early in psychologist school. We absolutely get that advice, mate.
There you go.
Yeah. Allow space.
I think we've pretty much guaranteed that I am a psychologist,
Yeah,
basically.
you
And
are.
then keep
Yeah.
asking questions because people love talking about themselves, don't they?
People love.
So all you have to do is just as soon as they answer it, you just go why or why,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
and then
why.
People. One tip that I learned early days in footy, when you're talking to the corporates and stuff like this, or the big events, and you just keep you get sat at those tables where you've got no connection at all.
Yeah, but you know they're really rich.
No, well, not that.
And you're like, oh, tell me about that awesome business. I'm so intrigued about that. That's really cool. So,
Or
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know what? It probably won't.
So I should say, like, my son watches, listens, watches. What do you do?
Subscribe.
Both.
Subscribes, follows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's 14. I don't know if that's your target demo.
Geez, that's pretty young.
Yeah,
but
so he's
that's-
into it. He loves
must
it.
be smart.
When
guy.
I told him I was coming on, he was the best thing I've ever done.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
he was
I'd like
pumped.
to hope you've got him some.
I've got some merch coming.
Yeah,
it's
my
coming.
man.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So the podcast is out soon. Lane Beachley, Harry Garside, one of my favourites, doing incredible things in the community. So we'll make sure we'll check that one out. We'll have a link to the show notes as well in the bio. We always say that. We'll make sure we pump up your show. But as I said, if the invite was there,
It'll
I
come.
would say yes.
I think you've done yourself no harm today.
I appreciate it, boys. One thing I did want to do,
Yeah.
actually, because it's a friend podcast. We want to show vulnerability. We want to be mates. One thing I love to do is, Ruff, I want you to tell Benny one thing you love about him,
Yeah,
and then Benny, I want you to tell one thing.
I've done this on another podcast as well.
No,
where
they would have
where you ring a
copied it.
mate. You ring a mate.
Oh,
as
okay,
well,
that's
and
nice.
tell them you love them.
Yeah. Well, go first.
No,
you go first, or you want me to?
You can.
I love Jarryd's honesty. The other day, I'd done a weight session, and then I was standing a bit close to him, clearly a bit of BO happening,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
said, "Oh, you've been working real hard, haven't you?" It was just a nice way to
Yeah.
let me know
Yeah.
that I stunk.
Yeah.
And I
It's a nice way of saying it.
only true sort of friends sort of do that stuff
Yeah.
for you. Thanks for the honesty.
No, I love the fact that we're both Gippsland people that can relate, and that the other week when I played Gormandale for the Carlton draft,
Oh, yes.
Ben was driving to Maffra and he purposely stopped to come see how I was going in the first quarter with Charlie, his son. Nearly ran out of petrol, had to turn around and go back to Terrelgan to get some petrol, but just as a mate, you don't have to do that. But to be able to stop, an hour and a half into your 3-hour trip means a lot. Good support.
That's beautiful. That's why
That's
the long
true.
game's going to be a great show with great chemistry. You're doing great things, gents. I do say that. Honestly, I really appreciate your time. I'd love to. I want you for a third time, and I want you
Number
for a second
3.
time with
Yeah.
a little bit more
Yeah.
time, if that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
to.
Maybe
Awesome.
we should just do a co-op.
Yeah, why don't we just make a
Full
co-op?
co-op.
We could do a co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd love
we're
to do
getting
that.
plenty of nods in the background.
Nice.
So
Deal's long game.
Love that.
yeah, the
Thanks,
allies.
boys. Make sure you check out the Danny Frawley Centre as well online, St Kilda's
Absolutely.
website, everything there. And big big congrats to Saints for their awesome initiative, because it is really incredible. And the Danny Frawley family for promoting and letting it all happen. They're incredible people doing great things, as well as everyone here. So, honour.
Well done.
Love the
Love
deal.
yous.
Thanks,
Cheers.
mate.
Thanks,
Cheers.
boys.
Thank you.